Good afternoon and welcome to Fitness Enlightenment, the podcast catered to the enrichment and improvement of your fitness-related knowledge, skills, and ideas. I'm your host, Jordan Evans, and on this beautiful day of April 16th, I'm located at the wonderful Georgia State University, where I'll be giving you the rundown on the shaky decline of adolescent fitness education within our current fitness industry today. So jumping straight into it, our fitness industry is booming, with more people than ever becoming more and more active as time goes on. But there's one issue that is becoming more prevalent by the day, and that's the lack of quality fitness education and decreased physical literacy in our adolescents within our country. Adolescents are receiving inadequate fitness education within our schools, and this is marked by decreased quality fitness education and physical literacy taught within our school systems by our teachers, and a poor retention of this knowledge by students as well. An article by Yulzer and Mueller in 2022 titled Differences in Perceived Physical Literacy Between Teachers Delivering Physical Education in Schools, Classroom Teachers versus Physical Education Teachers. This quotes that the PE content in classroom teaching training programs is insufficient for the development of an awareness of the importance of physical literacy for child development, end quote. When PE and classroom teachers are compared, it can be seen that there's a gap in the quality of education taught to adolescents within the classroom from non-PE teachers to physical education teachers. Results from the study support this notion by stating, end quote, post hoc test results indicated that PE teachers had significantly higher mean scores than classroom teachers, and teachers with 16 to 20 years of experience had significantly lower mean scores and a sense of self and self-confidence and communication subskills, end quote. This means that non-PE based teachers who are required to teach physical education are less likely to be adequately trained when compared to PE teachers. Adolescents then receive inadequate education when taught by non-PE based teachers. Due to the decreased quality of education, adolescents are less likely to retain the information that they learn and to use it outside of the classroom, the one place that it needs to be implemented. This in turn decreases the physical literacy or the comprehension and application of such knowledge. Therefore, it's imperative that the adolescents can use the knowledge taught to them in engaging in productive ways, as it will directly affect how they interact with fitness in a healthy way outside the classroom. This again is highlighted by an article by Alexander and colleagues in 2016 titled The Role of Physical Education on the Formation of a Healthy Lifestyle Outside of School Hours. It's described in quote, there is a contradiction in the case of modern physical education in schools. On one hand, students do not show proper interest in the lessons of physical education culture. On the other hand, they're ready to engage in popular sports today. Thus, the goals of modern physical education for students exist in spheres of diversity and educational content and methods of the physical education lessons, end quote. So without proper educational cues and practices, adolescents are less likely to perform physical activity. And this issue has many implications without the proper intervention scopes and practices. In short, physical literacy and activity participation are crucial for adolescents so that they can create the early habits they need to foster a healthy lifestyle. Following my first topic, adolescents need an avenue to not only be engaged in physical activity, but also gain practical experience during instruction and in activity through the classroom and in extracurriculars. This is highlighted by an article by Nakamura and colleagues titled Physical Education in Schools, Sports Activity, and Total Physical Activity in Adolescence. It quotes, the enough practice of physical activity in adolescence is associated with weight loss, the improvement of metabolic parameters, lowering blood pressure, insulin resistance, as well as the psychological well-being, the predisposition to maintain physical activity during adulthood, the decreased risk for cardiovascular disease, and consequently, an increase in life expectancy, end quote. In short, early education in terms of physical education and literacy has a host of beneficial effects that adolescents can take advantage of, given that they have the right resources available to them. Unfortunately, given the benefits of physical activity, adolescents do not meet the recommended amount of physical activity per week, per article by Nakamura and colleagues in 2013. While students are engaged in the classroom and with physical activity within the classroom setting, there still is an inconsistency in that voluntary physical activity beyond the classroom. For example, boys when compared to girls are more active in terms of physical education, while boys who do not participate in physical activity are less likely to be active than boys who do participate in physical activity. This same disparity in physical activity is noticeable, and there are ways to improve physical efficacy and literacy in adolescents by varying means. And so, to improve those physical literacies and activities in adolescence, creativity is needed to showcase new and approachable ways physical activity can be implemented. One such approach is the outsourcing of physical education to outside resources not within the classroom setting. There are many reasons for outsourcing as well. An article by Spittle and colleagues in 2022 titled "The Outsourcing of Physical Education in Schools: What and Why Do Schools Outsource to External Providers?" quotes, "Common reasons for outsourcing were to access expertise, to access equipment or facilities, and provide access to experiences, with reasons differing significantly between secondary and primary schools based on the number of physical education staff." End quote. In short, many school systems do not have the resources to provide quality physical education, which affects the physical literacy of the students receiving instruction. Therefore, the outsourcing of physical education provides a better understanding of physical literacy to under-resourced school systems that lack the experience and training concerning generalized classroom teachers in comparison to physical education teachers. This once again is further cemented by an article by Andreeva O. and colleagues in 2022 titled "The Assessment of the Impact of Outdoor Activities and Leisure Facilities on the Physical Activity of 15-year-old School Children During the COVID-19 Pandemic." Findings from this article state that physical activity lessons done outside of the school particularly had the most effect on students' physical literacy and level of activity. A walking tour was conducted and produced positive changes in adolescents' daily activity levels. Sedentary activity was reduced substantially, and an interest in physical education increased on an inverse scale, pointing towards general increases in physical literacy and activity. In short, through successful means and measures, adolescents can improve physical activity and literacy through quality programs and curriculums given enough resources. In short, how can exercise physiologists really take all this information and apply this to the same industry in terms of adolescence? In short, adolescent physical education is imperative so that the healthy lifestyle habits may form at an early age. Due to decline in general physical education training and quality in teachers, exercise physiologists can step in and may be the best opportunity to turn around this type of statistic. Exercise physiologists are certified professionals with more than adequate knowledge of how to promote a healthy lifestyle to all age levels and populations, meaning that they're more than qualified to work with adolescents. An article by Nunes, J. and colleagues in 2021 titled "The Influence of Physical Self-Concept and Motivational Processes on Moderate to Vigorous Physical Activity of Adolescents." It quotes and explains that the explained physical self-concept in adolescence correlates with the needs and satisfactions of adolescents. Autonomous motivation also plays a part in predicting the level of physical education in adolescents as well as the scope of physical activity. Exercise physiologists can improve levels of autonomous motivation and self-efficacy through their scope of practice and experience, making them the perfect candidate for the instruction of adolescents in physical education, thus improving physical literacy. And to bring this all together, adolescent physical education and physical literacy are imperative to foster better understanding of a healthy lifestyle and to promote physical activity. Though the current system in place may be inadequate for proper physical education for adolescents, changes are being made to incorporate more ways to improve voluntary physical activity and involvement. Exercise physiologists will be needed to help guide this type of change in education through their expertise and experiences, and without them, the decline of physically active adolescents is bound to increase. Thank you all again for tuning in to Fitness Enlightenment. This podcast is once again hosted by none other than Jordan Evans, and I appreciate the time you spent with me today. Stay active and stay enlightened, folks.